Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Gonna do another canning video or canning examples until I start until I can find me some more jars. It's gonna be hard for me to actually do a live actual canning type video because the jars, all the jars that I have, except for a few, have food in them, which is awesome. But today we're gonna show you a couple more examples of some goody yum yums. Okay, this is one of my favorites. It is ham broth. This broth was made from, look at all that goodness floating around in there. Oh my God. I had the big ham bone from the ham that I showed you in the previous video, the smoked ham. I took this and it was in the freezer for several months. I save it. Usually I use the ham bones. I'll make sometimes I'll make, soups out of it, the whole 9 yards. But I want to say I did 6 or 8 quarts of this, and I use the ham broth mainly for when I cook pinto beans or sometimes lima beans. I like the lima beans a little bit better in the chicken broth for some reason. But I do these a lot with black-eyed peas or pinto beans. The ham broth goes really good with that. Plus, it's really good to make soups and stuff with it. But yeah, ham broth, awesome. And the second thing I wanted to show you is probably my second favorite. My first favorite is chicken. My second favorite is pulled pork. Oh yeah, I found Boston butt roasts on sale back. This was canned in August of 2019. So I found I think it was Kroger had Boston butts on sale for pennies on the dollar. Like, it was insane how much they were dirt cheap. Like, I was getting like massive Boston butts for next to nothing. So I went and I got like 8 or 10 of them because they came in 2 packs. Brought them home and I kept 2 out. I put them in the we've got one of those big basting pans that you plug into the wall. It's something that my grandmother gave to my mom, and me and my dad use it. But it's about this big. I mean, it's probably a good 2 foot wide, a foot deep, and a foot and a half, a foot high and a foot and a half deep. But you just plug it up and set the switch to go, and you put your meat and stuff in there. That's what I cooked my turkey with this year for Thanksgiving and Christmas. It turns out great. Plus, it saves space for everything else that you got going on in the oven. But I kept 2 of them out. I put 2 of them in the roaster, and I cooked them, and I put 2 in the refrigerator, and the other 6 I put in the freezer. And no, excuse me. Yeah. I had some in the cooker, some in the fridge, some in the freezer waiting. And what I did is I cooked them, shredded them, and canned it. And I canned this one in chicken broth, and it turned out really good. I actually like the chicken broth better. You don't want to can it in the juice that collects in the bottom of the cooker because it has a lot of fat, and you want to try to keep as much fat out as you can because fat will make it go rancid quicker. I'm not sure exactly how much quicker. I haven't had anything go bad yet, and I've been doing it for 3-4 years now. But yeah, pulled pork, let me tell you something. There's nothing easier than just coming down here, grabbing a jar, going upstairs, draining it out, putting it in a pan, a little bit of barbecue sauce. We make our own homemade vinegar hot sauce because this is North Carolina. Sometimes we use a little bit of mustard, but we like the vinegar based stuff, and red peppercorn flakes, and you can put these on a hamburger bun, or I like to just throw it on a plate with some baked beans and some coleslaw and forget about it. It's on. But yeah, this is really good. Awesome pulled pork. Oh, so delicious. Okay, and with that, that's my 2 examples. And obviously, this is meat, so it processes for an hour and a half. And even though this is just bone broth and there's no meat in it, it is a meat product, and it does have lots of good chunks of meat floating around in there. This goes for an hour and a half as well. And let me tell you something, guys. If you're not sure if it's supposed to be an hour and 15 minutes or an hour and a half, do it for an hour and a half. It's not going to hurt anything, okay? I mean, it's not going to hurt anything to go longer or a little bit longer than they say it should. Like if you're doing something like beans, like green beans, I think green beans are supposed to be processed for 45 minutes. But there are some in the beginning when I first started doing it. I didn't know that green beans were good after 45 minutes, and I canned them. I processed them for an hour and a half, and they're perfectly fine. Like, they're perfectly fine. They're not crispy. I mean, they're a little bit, the texture is a little bit different. The flavor is just the same, exactly the same. But it's easy to just go online and find out the canning time of anything you're canning or getting a ball. I mean, if you're going to do pressure canning, you might as well go ahead and get the ball canning guide. But it gives you times for everything in there. But by a rule of thumb, anything that's got meat in it or a meat product, I rock it for an hour and a half, period. Like I said, it doesn't hurt. I mean, in my previous videos, you saw the pork and beans and weenies, or the beanie weenies that I did. Those pork and beans came out of cans that were in the store. So I basically recanned them for another hour and a half. They're just fine. And if sometimes we put it on the stove, and it might heat up on the stove for another 45 minutes until I feel like eating it. And they're perfectly fine. I mean, I guess you can technically overcook it for way, way, way too long and it just turns to mush, but I haven't had that happen yet. So worst case scenario, always err on the side of caution and pressure it for a little bit longer than you need to if you're not really sure of the time. But there's even a website out there that's the National Center for Home Food Preservation. They have a really, really good website, National Center for Home Food Preservation. I'm pretty sure that's it. You can just Google food preservation websites and it'll pop up. But that's it for this video. I will talk to you guys later.